What's up, everybody? Brian here, back again with another video, and today we're going back into rod reviews. I know the last few videos that I've posted on my channel are a lot of other stuff. I'm trying to diversify and bring you guys some different content other than just talking about rods all the time. But we're gonna get back into that now with the Megabass Orochi XX Swingfire. So we're gonna talk about this rod, but first off, my Instagram is blowing up. I'm posting a lot of pictures on there. I'm doing a lot of stuff in my story, so I'm throwing a lot more content into my Instagram account than might be on my YouTube channel. So please check that out. Follow me on Instagram. I got a lot of stuff coming out. You're seeing all the things I'm getting in for spring. I'm posting deals and all, other, like when I find cool things that are in stock at some of our favorite shops, I'm highlighting them in my story. So anyway, check out my Instagram. Let's talk about this rod. So I feel bad talking about this rod because it is extremely hard to find right now. Shops don't have this in stock. I've heard there's a possibility that this rod is going to be discontinued, that these might actually not restock past whatever people have, or maybe Megabass has ready to go now. But I've heard this rod might not be produced anymore. I don't know how true that is. If you guys know something that I don't, throw it in the comments. But I've heard from a pretty reliable source that the Swingfire might be dead. So I don't know. We'll find out. But I bought this rod probably about a year and a half, so I've had this for one full season plus about a half season, and I'm very comfortable to talk about it right now. So this is a composite cranking rod, meaning it is part glass, part graphite. Now, I don't know how much graphite. I don't know if it's like a 50-50, a 60-40. I don't no idea on the blend on this, but what's nice about this being a composite is this rod is really light for a cranking rod. This thing weighs in at 4.9 ounces, so this is a sub 5 ounce bait casting rod. It's a 7'2", yeah, 7'2" F5 power, so it's like a medium heavy power as far as Megabass is concerned, but it is rated up to 5/8. So 5/8 is actually pretty high for this stick. I think the ½ ounce or under is kind of its sweet spot. We'll get to that in a second, but the balance on this rod, with it being so light, is fantastic. This is a Tatula SV Series 103, one of the new ones. And with this reel on this, with no line on it at the moment, it bounces right at the lock nut, which is great. This handle is really awesome. I love the handle. It's got, it goes down to my elbow, and it makes, you can really get your hand on it and make good casts. This rod's fit and finish is beautiful. I mean, the Orochi XX series in general, just their looker rods, just gorgeous. You got lots of silver accents. You got this kind of gunmetal gray color. You get like silver rings all up and down the handle. Just gorgeous. So it's really light. It's pretty. Now the action on this rod is crazy. So this rod is very, very soft. It's very whippy. You can make real long casts with lighter baits on this rod. So let's take a look at the action. Now, when you start at the tip, this thing is like that first third of the rod is just all whip. Then when you get into the middle of the rod, it still has a lot of bend. So you're right into the middle of the rod, it is still bending, and you don't hit the backbone till about that first guide. So about right here is where that stiffness kicks in, but that second guide, from the second guide all the way up, is where that tip. And then when you get to the front, I mean, whew. So this is a very soft, very whippy rod. If you're throwing lighter crankbaits with lighter wire hooks, this is a great rod for that because you have so much give. You're not going to be bending or pulling those hooks out. So I give this thing high marks in the fit and finish, high marks in the weight and the balance, and then extremely high marks in the parabolic action. It's exactly what you want out of a shallow cranking stick. Now, baits on this, if you're throwing anything deeper than like 8 feet, this rod is completely outgunned. It is overpowered for anything that's diving into that 10-foot or deeper range. I think this rod's sweet spot is shallow to 7-8 feet. So I think like 6-foot running baits is like really, it's kind of it's about its max. So let me go through a few baits I actually really like throwing on this rod this past year. So I'm going to give you my kind of like top 6 baits that I threw on this rod. So number 1, DT6s and DT4s. This is a DT6, but this is an awesome DT4 and DT6 rod. So if you throw a lot of balsa cranks that run shallower than 10 feet, the Swingfire is going to do the job. I also really like throwing the Lucky Craft 1.5. This is in the BE, the Brent Ehrler color. It's one of my favorites. So the Lucky Craft 1.5s, or any 1.5 really, whether it's Strike King, whether it's Lucky Craft, whether it's 6th Sense, any of these kind of like shallow running square bills are going to be awesome on the Swingfire. Next up, some Megabass stuff. I love throwing the S-Crank 1.2 on this rod. So this is an awesome S-Crank stick. You get that really big hunting action. This rod's got enough give where it just kind of lets this bait go crazy. So if you're not throwing the Megabass S-Crank and you're a square bill person, you got to try this. This is a fish catcher. I caught a lot of smallmouth on the S-Crank with this rod over in Wisconsin this year. Another bait that I started trying out this last year on this rod and it worked really well was the Eye by Eye shad. So this is the Megabass Eye by Eye. It's got the LBO casting system, so it's got a little like cylinder or like a little like kind of piston looking thing inside of this that slides and it makes a knock sound when it engages. So the LBO casting system is legit because it lets you cast these smaller baits pretty far. So I like throwing the Eye by Eye shad on this. This thing has got really good deflection. So I was throwing this out on gravel and rock piles, and it was like bouncing around, never really got hung up. So Eye by Eye shad is a great bait to throw on the Swingfire. And then lastly, the Z cranks. So this came out. These cranks came out last year. Has the LBO casting system. This is the deeper running version, but there's also a shallower. But the Z cranks throw really well in the Swingfire as well. Even though this is a really small bait, it's got the LBO casting system. You can launch these things pretty far with a nice whippy rod. So as far as line, I ran 12-pound fluorocarbon on this, and it was just right. I know some people even throw heavier line on the Swingfire. You can go up to like 16, even 20-pound, I guess. But I stick in that like 10 to 12-pound line for jerkbaits and crankbaits, just because that's what I'm used to, and it worked for me. So overall, I love this rod. I don't think I'll be selling it. It's going to stick around a collection because it's a great shallow cranking rod, mid-depth cranking rod. It's light, got great action, looks amazing, and I have a feeling that the aftermarket for this rod, if it is discontinued, is just going to get worse. I think people are going to want more money than maybe even retail. I think the value on these things might go up a little bit, but happy hunting. If you're trying to find a Swingfire right now, who knows? But anyway, it's a great rod, one of my favorites. Not going to get rid of it. I used to run a Legend. I started using a St. Croix Legend glass rods. Those are also amazing, but I like this better just because of the graphite mix. The thing about this being a blend of graphite and glass is you can feel. So when you're dragging crankbaits over like rocks or reefs, you get really great sensitivity on this. I mean, I'm surprised. It feels like a graphite rod. You can feel all the little ticks when the bait's going up and over things and hitting stuff. So the sensitivity on the Swingfire is pretty awesome for a parked glass rod, because a lot of glass rods you can't feel too much. It's just when you hook a fish, you just feel a load and you start seeing the rod kind of go bump, 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 and shaking. Not with this. You can feel strikes. You can feel cover. So anyway, that's my review on the Orochi XX Swingfire. If you got any questions, throw them in the comments. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Appreciate it.